We're at the 2011 Food Safety Summit here in Washington, D.C. Today I'm joined by Dr. Dan Lafontaine, who works with HACCP Consulting Group, a company that's based out of Virginia that provides consulting to the food industry on a variety of topics. So to start off, can you just provide a little bit of information about what your company does? What are the major activities?
Yes, I'd be delighted to do that. Our company is a group of 10 professionals that have a great deal of depth in food safety consulting. The 10 professionals are located throughout the United States, and also one of our individuals lives and works in Mexico. We provide all types of food safety consulting work for USDA regulated plants, meat, poultry, and processed eggs, and also more and more with FDA regulated, as that part of the industry becomes more knowledgeable and for the need for HACCP or HACCP type programs.
Okay, so you definitely have support for the regulatory side of things, like if people are looking to implement plans that satisfy requirements.
Exactly. It's a combination of companies that are proactive in trying to improve their food safety systems who come to us or hear of our cadre of professionals. And in some cases it's reactive, where a company may have a problem with, for example, Listeria monocytogenes contamination and a recall in one of their products, and they need some expertise from someone who understands the pathogen and how to eliminate it from their facility and keep it out. So it's proactive and reactive resources to the industry.
Okay, so if people want to implement, say, a pathogen management plan,
Exactly.
You can help with that. And then if something does arise, you can help them navigate the recalls, litigation, that sort of thing?
Correct.
Okay, great.
And I should also mention, which relates to your questions, is that we're working both within the United States, but also throughout the world, Central America, South America, Africa, Middle East, Asia, quite a bit of work in Europe. And related to that is an important fact is that I mentioned industry, but in some of the foreign countries, the U.S. that is, we are involved with the governments of those countries, and I can further explain that if you would like.
Okay, sure. I mean, like for importers and exporters, that sort of thing, you're supporting them to,
Well,
say if they wanted to import food into the United States from a foreign country.
Exactly. So it's, I'll give you just a couple quick examples that give let's say that there's a company in a European country that has the credentials to ship meat or poultry products into the U.S. and they are reviewed by our USDA, and certain deficiencies are found. That's one of our areas of expertise, is to help that company or that government in some cases get up to speed on what the current requirements of the USDA Food Safety Inspection Service is, as far as having a HACCP system that will meet our U.S. requirements.
Okay, so kind of like a gap analysis, is that?
Sometimes it's jumping more for not so much for a gap analysis. Well, let me explain that. Sometimes they're trying to get into the U.S. market, so then it would be a gap analysis where what do you need to do as a starting point to get to the road of being able to import. Others, it's problem solving and giving them guidance on what they need to do to align with U.S. requirements.
Okay.
Other example, I'll give one more example, is, and this is a personal one I've been involved in the last few months, is in the country of Serbia, the former Yugoslavia. They're striving to be able to join the European Union, and so they have to upgrade their food safety systems. And they just passed a new law 2 years ago, and so we're working with their regulatory agencies to help them implement HACCP. So they in turn can, next step would be to be able to import to join the European Union, and then their further goal would be to join the World Trade Organization.
Okay.
So that gives you some examples of our foreign work.
Yeah, and HACCP, I mean, it makes sense that they have to implement HACCP because a lot of people think that's the modern gold standard, so to speak, for food safety. I mean, with, say, in the United States, the Food Safety Modernization Act, there's been some confusion regarding the language. I mean, it talks a lot about preventative measures, being proactive, and some people look at that and say, well, isn't that just the definition of HACCP, but they don't specifically mention it. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Our group had been interested in why the law, the new act, was written that way. And a query that I put forth to FDA, their response was a logical one. And what they said, they did not intentionally did not say HACCP, even though it's HACCP-like, is they wanted the industries to have a comprehensive preventative program to include industries such as storage facilities and distribution and transportation companies, where true HACCP does not fit that model. So they wanted to use language that was more overarching and comprehensive. Okay. So that's the reason. Now, having said that, HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, will meet the intent of the new FDA Food Safety Modernization Act.
Okay,
so
that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, that works. So I wanted to also ask you a little bit about the training that you do, because you guys do an extensive amount of training in your company. Can you give some examples of the sorts of training programs you offer?
Yes. I guess the answer is many different types of food safety training. Our most common and you may say baseline is a International HACCP Alliance accredited HACCP course that we will give to any size or type of audience. And I'll give you some examples. We support the USDA when they have foreign officials come to the U.S. to learn our food safety systems. We traditionally teach a 3-day course here in Washington, D.C. For industry groups, or for individual companies. In fact, our president just finished a course in Ontario, California, for industry. We also are teaching one in Spanish because two of our associates are fluent in Spanish. Other examples, I last year taught a course in Liberia and Africa to UN peacekeeping force that handles the foods, receipt, storage, and distribution to the peacekeeping forces in the country of Liberia. So we also teach listeria control, pathogen control of all type. So we have, with our 10 professions, we have the depth to organize food safety courses to most any configuration and most any audience.
Okay, great. People increasingly talk about developing a culture of food safety. Would you say that's part of what your training programs are all about? I mean, training is such a huge part of having a successful plan. So.
Absolutely. In fact, in our courses, and I'll just use the HACCP course, the very first part of the course, in fact almost a half a day, is dedicated to what we call prerequisite programs, things leading that you have to have in place before you can have a chance to effectively implement HACCP, such as a pest management program and basic sanitation.
Mm-hmm.
But also we talk about management's involvement, and that it will not work if management doesn't make a commitment,
Mm-hmm.
not only a verbal commitment, but a hands-on, realistic commitment to food safety in general.
Okay.
That is established in the minds of management and the employees that food safety is a part of our way of doing business.
So it's not just about handing someone a manual, a one-size-fits-all solution. You have to have commitment, right?
Absolutely. It will not work if you don't set the example and expect the folks to follow it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay.